So today is day 2 of some dark, rainy, miserable days, and I figured while I was out running a few errands, I would pull out the camera and record a quick vlog to give you an idea about something that's been going on in my life for a while now. Now, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you may be aware that a constant thread that's been running through the majority of my life has been the desire to be a writer. I spent the majority of my 20s and my 30s learning my craft, trying to get published, submitting my work to places and being rejected. Eventually, my dream did come to fruition in my late 30s, and I was able to get the first piece of work that I had written published. Since then, I've been able to get stories and poems published, but when I had my heart attack at 45, that brought all of that to a screeching halt. And from that moment till now, I've spent the majority of my time trying to get back on track, to be able to write again on a regular basis and possibly get published again. That's been really difficult for me. As of right now, unfortunately, I haven't been able to accomplish that. In 2019 and toward the end of 2020, I was seeing a counselor who also happened to be a fiction writer to help me with my issues. It felt really good to talk to a professional who was also a fiction writer. And so she understood what I was going through better than anybody else possibly could have. But around the middle of 2021, she decided that she was going to quit her practice and become a full-time writer. Now, at that point, she had already published a few novels, but she really wanted to go all in on her career and take it to its full potential. But for a little while after that, I have to admit, I spent some time not sure how I should feel about it. Obviously, I wish her the best in her career, and I certainly don't begrudge her wanting to develop it. That's what I'm trying to do with mine. But of course, a feeling of betrayal and jealousy is going to be a part of that too, because not only was she unable to help me with my problem ultimately, but she was going out and basically doing the one thing she couldn't help me do for myself. But after I thought about it for a while, I realized that really, for me, this was the best thing that could have happened. But none of that had anything to do with her abilities as a counselor. The truth is, I was getting really comfortable coming in once a month, sitting on her couch and talking about my problems. Talking therapy can be a good thing for people, and I certainly recommend it, and in some ways it was a big help to me. But it can't be a replacement for doing what you need to do to get yourself better. Because you feel like, in a sense, you are doing something because you're talking, but nothing really is changing. Talking therapy can become really counterproductive. And so the best thing that could have happened to me was for me to break the rut of coming in once a month and talking about my problems. But I still needed to come up with a solution. And strangely enough, I think maybe I have found that solution. Or to be more accurate, it may have found me. About a week ago, I was on the road heading toward Columbus, Ohio, because I wanted to catch the David Bowie documentary Moonage Daydream on IMAX. Now, if you think it's weird for me to drive 6 hours total just so I can catch a David Bowie documentary on a big screen, welcome to this channel, I guess. But when I take the drive, I usually like to listen to an audiobook. It helps to pass the time, and I feel like it's really productive. The audiobook I was listening to was called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I didn't know that much about the book, except that it was about what being an artist is like, and so I figured that would be a good thing to listen to. What I didn't know was that this book was written as a way to facilitate what the author calls artist recovery. It was a book for artists who had never pursued their artistic endeavors for whatever reason, something that she calls shadow artists, and for people who were artistic in the past, but for whatever reason stopped practicing their art. So to my surprise, I found that this book was right up my alley and exactly what it was that I needed. Now, this book outlines a course of 12 weeks of reading and activities that are meant to help you get rid of your blocks and become the artist you were always meant to be. So I've started my 12-week course actually today. And I opened up my calendar and I realized that if I go through the entire 12 weeks in order the way I'm supposed to, week by week, that my last day of the course, when I've finished everything that the book has asked me to do, is going to be Christmas Eve. I'm not saying that the universe is trying to tell me something or that the universe ever tries to tell anybody anything, but this has been one heck of a bunch of coincidences. So part of what I want to do in Vlogtober is document how things are going as I make my way through the artist way. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about things that I'm going to be doing as I'm going through the artist way, because a lot of the work in that book is intensely personal and is meant to be kept to the artists themselves. But I do believe that a lot of the things I'm going to be going through over the next few weeks are going to become touchstones for things that I'm going to want to talk about. And so, although I may not talk about the artist way specifically, that some of the things that I will be talking about will certainly be inspired and motivated by what I learn. But obviously, by the time Vlogtober comes to an end, I will have only gone through a third of the coursework. But my plan right now is to do all 12 weeks, to stick with it and push through, even though a lot of it is going to be very personal, very emotional, and difficult to do. But maybe this is going to be what finally gets me through my break. But I do believe that a lot of the things I'm going to be going through over the next few weeks are going to become touchstones for things that I'm going to want to talk about. And so, although I may not talk about the artist way specifically, that some of the things that I will be talking about will certainly be inspired and motivated by what I learn. But obviously, by the time Vlogtober comes to an end, I will have only gone through a third of the coursework. But my plan right now is to do all 12 weeks, to stick with it and push through, even though a lot of it is going to be very personal, very emotional, and difficult to do. But maybe this is going to be what finally gets me through my break. Maybe I am ready now to take the reins back up and be a writer again. Maybe it's time.